We're going to discuss the fact that by the end of this message today, we're going to trust ourselves with all of our thinking, all of our feeling, all of our experience, and we're going to allow ourselves to live with the same dignity. You know what I'm saying? 24 hours a day on this earth that we have, that we live with, and that we walk with in heaven. All spiritual truths involve the fact that there is a higher nature. It's spiritual, it's good. There's a divine, a holy kingdom, the kingdom of God, the Buddhahood, the Pure Land. Enlightenment, nirvana, the beatific vision that Aldous Huxley spoke of so well. In the beginning, I want to discuss some simple techniques of concentration where we can listen to people, we can acknowledge, we can be in the presence of others without continuing the madness. The world exists because people don't listen to one another. And I'll leave that right there and we'll build on that. I have trained people and with people that can listen to people for very long periods of time without a thought. In other words, you're completely aware of them. That's why we talked about Bodhidharma, staring at a wall. Well, if you study Chan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, as I have and taught many, many years, it's you exteriorize your concentration, you stare at a place on the wall, and what I've simply done, and as soon as when you do that for a small period of time, or when you're trained, as soon as you do it, the world disappears. It's that simple. This is a basic meditation technique, but I'm going to build on it to show why if we communicate clearly, listen to one another, acknowledge one another, then the madness doesn't stop. I went to a friend's restaurant the other day and there was a big screen with the game on. People I didn't know just talked about the game to me up and back through the whole game while I'm sitting there eating and just in complete quiet and didn't relate to anything, say anything back, but I didn't fight it and I didn't really listen to it, but I didn't fight it. So I got through a peaceful hour of madness around me. The point is, you listen to people and they'll feel brand new and acknowledge that you heard what they're saying. This gets very, very, very specific. You need some training. Acknowledge each other and people will be happy. Instead, it's like the next thought out of a bingo cage. Someone will say something and you'll have a thought in your mind about some words and you'll jump back at it. And that's all human conversation, and it's madness. That's why when you have the monks live alone in the mountains, I've lived with different groups here, or temporarily, because I've always tried to help whoever's supporting it, and they're okay being quiet all day. It's a joy. It's a thrill to be quiet. Once you master these simple techniques, you look to the wall, you exteriorize this concentration, and you're completely happy. It's that simple. As soon as you're out of the cerebral cortex, that's the devil. And every artist knows this, an opera singer, as soon as you get out of all the madness, boom, you can present your case. You'll do well, you'll do great. You'll be great. So if we listen to one another, there'll be joy in the kingdom. And acknowledge, and you listen with empathy. There are different kind of, I guess, religions or processes that people use around the world that I'm familiar with, many of them. And they work. But it's a mental concentration and listening and being aware. And I'm simply saying, just lightly, add a touch of your own dignity, of empathy, of just being there for the person. And you can be there, as I do, 24 hours a day in my life. I'm just present. And when people see me at my home, there's a presence, and because I believe in God, God can do whatever God does. and always addresses my clients, the people that see me, demanding that they accept their own dignity. They did nothing wrong. You fall into this atmosphere of the world system that seems to be the planet Earth. It's a right there you're damned. That's the idea of the Garden of Eden. It's an analogy. Every spiritual person who reads that knows that. If you're very religious, you see it in a different light. You think it's about bodies. It's not about bodies, it's about dignity. If you're born here, you lose your dignity. And as of today, you'll accept, you'll receive your own dignity with great clarity. Not because of anything you or I will do, but because we'll understand and we'll know there is a divine presence always. Not just with us, but divine presence is everything. So meditation's about prayer, religion, spirituality, all the books about Buddhism or the sacred texts of every religion, of every tribe in the world. They're all identical, they're all the same. And if you, at birth, you'll feel, the stage doors open and you know there's something beyond the beyond and beyond the everyday, and you're getting a gift from the heavens. And when they pass, you'll feel the same exit, like exit stage left. There are so many symbolic moments in our life reminding us, hey, it's here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Allow the light to be the light. And allow yourself to disengage from all sense of failure, shame, guilt, knowing that that's the trap of the world. That's the trap of the devil. That's what the world is. It's an atmosphere, not a place. There's nothing solid. There is no ground. There are no bodies. I'm a spiritual person. Discuss this with someone that's really spiritual in your life. We all have at least one person like that, or a grandmom that knows everything. You know what I'm saying. And discuss this with listening to that person. And again, not fighting the thoughts, well, I thought this and that. Don't let someone speak and allow them to disengage from the trap. I've done it thousands and thousands of times, and it always works. Not about listening about the game. You have to somehow make the parameters clear to who you're communicating with. And when they're hurting, when they're lost in some way, but you feel a decent heart, then you'll be there with them. And be there with them. And there's no reason to disengage from it. There are certain rules of the game. Once they've said their piece, acknowledge it and never bring it up again. And that person will float for days. You see them again, do the same thing and never bring it up again. In other words, when someone's bringing up something that's been traumatic for them, to any degree, and they let go of it, well, then there's there's fresh ground there that's yet to be tilled and replanted. And so let it lie a while. Otherwise, if there's a re-stimulation, then better not to have helped them before in their healing. I hope this makes sense, because it's beyond the words. It's the sense of it, it's the feel, it's the knowledge, it's the knowing that there is an actual God. And guess who you are in this? Initially tragic play, but becomes a sublime drama, something that you're going to reenact in the same way that Jesus Christ may have, or Moses, Gautama Buddha. You see what I'm saying? It's not about words or thoughts that we're all trained to. We have fixed ideas about all reality, all religion. There is no religion. There is no reality in the world. There are no thoughts, there are no places or people or things or ideas. It never was. The idea that Pure Land in Buddhism or Enlightenment and any philosophy, any religion, and there are the mystics in every religion who will affirm these truths because they live them, they experience them. There is a higher nature. It's not that we're not animals, we're not anything. All animals that we see are closer to God than we are, aren't they? They have an incredible instinct, a sense of instinct and reaction, but outside of that, they're going to be a family. Loving, kind, dear, without thoughts. You'll have a dog lay on your lap or your kitty, and that's all there is. My friend Zach's kitty is closer to God than any person, and they're just there. You're just there. We're just here. There's nothing wrong. Main thing for today, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a good person. You're to be secure, serene, safe, sane. And when you know there is a God, there are powers, there are gifts that come with this that in the first 2 or 3 months will open up, and they're in extraordinary ways for you. Doesn't matter, remember every word what was said today. I wrote 2 books, Island of Hearts and After Time, which will discuss every aspect of this in every moment. You pick it up at any time of the day or night, or you have it or whatever. I would suggest it, have it real, and you'll have a friend with you. Because I don't think any of these things have ever been said, so I said them on paper, and my friend Susan and my friend Kathleen, my holy teacher from heaven, put those things together, and that's it. There's nothing wrong with you. If you incarnated, as it were, into this world through that process of birth, that little aperture that we walked in here through, you're on a mission, a divine and holy mission, to dismantle the whole thing. Again, if you're spiritual, if the whole world is like a mirage, you walk through it. I don't see solid things, ever, since I was born. I had this experience of nirvana, enlightenment, God consciousness, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It just is. It's yours. It's not mine, it's not theirs, it's not some holy man in the mountains, it's yours. So when I say it would be nice, I would like you to walk with the same dignity on earth that you have in heaven. Know that you have these gifts, these powers, these abilities that are very instantly available to you. And you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to pick up a book, you don't even have to pray. Just know that God is there. And He will be there. And open up all these windows and doors to the Pure Land. Christ consciousness, enlightenment, nirvana. It simply means being you. And in this, when it opens up, the idea or thought of God will disappear even though you're in adoration forever and eternity. It's so big compared to the religious thoughts that people have, or psychological. There is no psychology. There are no thoughts. When I met Dr. Shaw, he was the great revered Zen master of the world. When I met him, and he gave me a name called, it was Empty Mind, Hersim, in Korean, in his language, and I almost never see him. I saw him a couple weeks ago because he's so transcendent that you can't imagine it. I have certain family members that are bright and shiny. We talked about the Tonkas from India, the Tibetan, and the imagery around the world of angels, of Mother Mary, it's so crisp and clean and pure. You are crisp and clean and pure. They are indications of something higher, more wonderful, more real, more powerful than anyone's dreams or visions. But they're not any more powerful than the human heart that gives way to your own divine heart, which is God, which is unimaginable. And I can't say it's like a billion lighted suns. It's because that would be nothing compared to the experience. That would be nothing compared to and you will have the experience. I give you that. It will happen. It's yours. It's not mine or his or hers or from some historical saintly figure. And it's not up there. It's your own heart. Don't let them take your dignity anymore. Listen, acknowledge, and see these subtle little rituals we can do with life will transplant our fears, our negations, our hopes or our wants or our needs. You won't hope or want or need, and what's needed and what's hoped for and what's required will happen. It will be so much more grand and sweet and kind and true. And I know it's been in your heart, in the back of your mind all your life, hasn't it? You are a wonderful vision. You are a spiritual presence. You are divine and holy. And that's sweet and natural. There's nothing unnatural or sit a certain way or think things or don't think things or don't be nice or be nice. It just is. And it will happen very naturally over the next 2 or 3 years, and you'll wake up. And many of you, I'm speaking to right now, are awake and you know exactly what was just said because you live it. I'm just begging you to understand that take that one next step of subtly removing all the control freaks in your life so you can just sit happily, lean back in your easy chair. And so I did the last 2 days. I read a book. It's like just which I haven't done for a couple of years because I'm so involved with helping everyone around me 24 hours a day, and there are people that question why this or why do you go there, or it's like why do you wear such and such. I've never been here, never been in my body, but I'm around very materialistic people who believe in the world. They're all sweet hearts and souls, and most of them will become illumined in the next year or two. I know this. But they're the ones that hurt you, the ones closest that don't know they're engaged with something holy. So you have to separate from the entirety of the world, and the way to do it will happen. In very subtle ways, very overt ways, it will happen. God actually is God. And I'm saying this to people knowing you've all gone through great travail, and we've all been wounded. And I'm saying this as the teacher that I am, that there's nothing you've gone through that I haven't lived through in this life. Nothing. I've been the mean, hurt, beat with a baseball bat, shot at, stabbed. I mean, but the emotional things that happen are the trips, the traps that people get you into. In the old book, it was called The Snare of the Devil, meaning that when you're born here, you're trapped. It's that simple. So wake up, and God will give you light. You are God's light. You're here on a holy mission to dismantle the whole thing. And it's in consciousness. Use these techniques. Find out there are thousands of self-enhancement techniques, spiritual enhancement techniques. I try to talk about a couple of them in communication, listening to people. Buddhism, you get your sensorial field or your breath down to your abdomen and just concentrate a minute on that and feel the abdominal walls expanding and releasing. Your breath. No, it's putting your mind down there. Once you do it for about a minute or so, you're all relaxed, your head's relaxed. Then add on top of that, exteriorize the mental concentration is Bodhidharma. They just stare at the Buddhist monks around the world. They stare at a spot on the wall. And the moment I did this, Dr. Cho, I was in one of his Sunday morning, I was his neighbor, we just bounced into each other, and Edward Wilkinson that started the Wilkinson School down here in Half Moon Bay, and Dr. Buckspace and my buddy, Zen master and a psychologist and psychiatrist in LA with his wife. They do couples counseling. I laugh because he's an ocean of presence, and he uses these techniques I've talked about. So he called me Empty Mind, Dr. Shaw. We'd walk, we'd travel from Virginia to Philadelphia back to our place, and there'd be lightning strikes. I mentioned this before. Like maybe just kept happening. And Dr. Shaw, we almost never talked to each other, and it would hit right next to the car. And it was like I knew it was happening. I was illumined, whatever you call it. So okay, this is happening. You want to say anything, Dr. Shaw? No. So we kept going and going, and then after he passed, saw him a few weeks ago, and he's so transcendent that even if you're very spiritual, you can't quite know that he's there. And that's who you are. If you're here, you are a divine hero like Dr. Shaw. He called me Empty Mind then, which means nothing's here. You don't need to meditate, pray, care, write, wash, clean, cook, anything. I know I don't need to. I know it's been very difficult for me to learn the ways of the world because they have to be beaten to me, and I won't. I have too much something to ask people about something. I have to figure it out on my own, and all spiritual people have that. It's not a stubbornness, it's a how can a divine being not know anything? So it's so unnatural being here as a spiritual presence. For all of us, isn't it? So take back your ground. And you'll forgive all those around you they've all been beaten or battered. My sister sent me pictures from my mom and dad before they were married, and newspaper articles and family. And it's just all me and my family, we talk about it because we're all spiritual. But we're all opening up to each other, so we're already here in the promised land. We're not going anywhere. We're like 78 to 87. We're like happy as little kittens. Does that make sense? And we just want to see everyone grow and prosper and succeed, and the world's falling apart around us, but it always has been falling apart around us, and it is an illusion. You will change the illusion. You will make it fit your script. Be spiritual. Be a hero for God, for your family, for your friends. And it involves being delicate, kind, caring, and knowing absolutely that God is with you all the time. And so with that, you'll find a way to step through and walk through all the little indices, all the indications, they're trying to make you a little less, a little, and that's what I talked about with me here within the businesses and all that, that if you don't let it sink in, if you step away from it and find subtle ways. My problem is I never want to hurt anyone's feelings or thoughts for a moment, so I'll eat a lot of stuff just till I find the right moment to engage and let the person know from inside them the next step to take. It's called being spiritual, being kind, being human. More than anything, it's being you. I know these words hit home because they're the way you experience your existence. And nothing wrong with you. You're here to do a great good. And even those around us, I know the one that caused me more pain than anyone in my life, and I never got mad at this person, and I hadn't seen this person for 15 years, and I knew this morning, when I picked up a beautiful letter that was sent, I knew that this person got over their temporary madness. So you'll have things like this happening all day, every day. Don't even try to do anything, just believe in God. Understand that you're a divine messenger here to illumine the world. And that's what will happen. You will illumine the world by allowing yourself to walk with the same dignity here in this world that you do in heaven. And in heaven is infinite presence. Like I said, don't think of it as 100 billion suns, because that doesn't begin. These aren't words. There is a God, there is a heaven. We're all a volunteer army. We dropped into here. Remember that everyone here is fighting a great battle. So don't get all caught up in the social, political, he this and he believes that. And because I'm kind of intelligent and read a lot of books and I'm aware of people in the world, and even though some of them, and I know that everything is because people are reacting to one another, this and that thought and that, and stop reacting and just breathe. And you'll be happy. You'll be glad all over. The kingdom of God is within, meaning within your heart, your consciousness. And the sense of that will transplant everything around you. From the most delicate thought or experience or act of kindness or attrition or to war. You'll transcend everything very quickly, and you won't have to do this, all the fears that the world has about riots, they'll be coming around and like having experienced extreme war violence, unimaginable, been in the middle of it and felt God. You can read stories of people at war, of soldiers and they had a combat soldier have beautiful spiritual experiences in the middle of it all. Was it Desjardins? He was an archaeologist, that during working with the earth in the First World War, and he wrote these mystical texts of the visions he had during the war of France, the First World War. And I'm saying there are thousands and thousands. Look up some of these and say, oh my God! And every soldier has felt their mom or the one they love or their child left behind, or you see what I'm saying? And if you read the letters of parents who've sent letters to their children at war, people don't want to be on this side or on that side. I remember looking in the eyes of people in the middle of great violence, and I had complete compassion. And we all do our part in this drama. We all survived to this point. To this moment, to hear what is true. Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for you. Every church bell, every mom's prayer is for you. You understand? You'll stop blaming in your lineage. Your grandmother did this, or my mom did this. When you start seeing the entirety from all the different angles of the traps people are put in. That's what this world is, and this message today is to walk through it with a kind heart. With a hymn, with a prayer. You are a great and holy soldier of God. If you're in the world, we dropped into this to end the madness. And it gets unimaginably subtle. Like I say, there's 2 books I wrote, After Time and Island of Hearts. Please read them, and they'll answer every conceivable question in the most beautiful way every moment. And you'll know that the works of the Bible and the joy of the great artist and the thrill of the mom and the pounding of the heart when you miss the one you love, they're all indications of this pure land, this better place. And when you step through to the land of the pure land, to enlightenment, this will be the pure land. It's yours. It's not for someone else. Enlightenment, self-mastery, spirituality, kindness and joy, they're yours. Everything will be healed. And it gets very, very subtle. So I say, read those books if you can or will. Or there are so many different ways of approaching this. Please try some of it. And all you have to do is, like I do, I talked to my older sister the other day, we're like, yeah, we say the same prayer on the side of our bed since we're 2 years old, and we just laughed. And let there be joy in your kingdom. Knock and the door will be opened. You are God's prayer for the world. And by understanding what was just said, the prayer will be answered. There is a God. It's very delicate. It's in consciousness, awareness, subtlety, and you are the breath of God. Thank you for listening. I pray that you have a quick outcome with this, and don't let them take your dignity. And there's just subtle little techniques within us to acknowledge what's coming at us and not reacting to it. And little divine thoughts, inspirations will come to us throughout the day and evening hours. And you'll live in the land of God. You are his holy messenger. You are divine presence. God bless your mission. Thank you for listening. Thank you.